Now, this morning on the Blueprint newspapers, it says there, Tinubu crosses fourth legal hurdle towards 2023. It's one of the things that we're likely going to be speaking about sometime this morning. Another court case has been dismissed. It says court dismisses suit, declares Ihoma meddlesome interloper. Wow. And also, Muslim ticket set in tone for new political landscape, says Tinubu's wife. We can also find here the UK has no interest in Buhari's successor, says an official. That's on page 5. Federal government recovers 120 billion naira from proceeds of crimes. And also Abuja Kaduna train kidnap victims demand compensation. I would agree with them. I think, they even if it's not likely that the federal government will go ahead and compensate them, and also because I don't think there's been records of any time that the federal government or the Nigerian police or any Nigeria's government agencies have been, found guilty of anything and asked to compensation. Compensation has been awarded to anybody who sued the government and they paid. I don't remember any time that happened. They eventually would appeal and you eventually just get tired. But I think these victims demanding compensation, have a legitimate, claim here rather, because it's government's failure, first of all, that they led to their kidnap. And then the time that they spent also in captivity, in the hands of these bandits, the trauma, all of it. And then also for those who had to pay to be released from, from the hands of these kidnappers or these bandits. There's so much for everyone who paid even 1,000 naira. They deserve, I believe, if I was that judge, I definitely would award them compensation.
Okay, so now I think another question we should ask is, by the time the compensation is awarded, do we think that this will make the federal government sit up? Is it really going to change much?
No, it's not.
This is not, of course, downplaying the importance of them asking for compensation for unjust treatment that they've experienced, a harsh treatment that they've experienced. But do you think that this would in any way make the federal government sit up?
No, it wouldn't. So, and the reasons are, first of all, I don't expect that they will get the compensation. I expect that a court maybe would award them compensation, but whether they would be paid eventually, I don't think so. But another thing is the persons, and why in response to your question, will the government sit up? The persons who are, if eventually they are going to be paid compensation, is not taken from the pockets of anybody in government today. It's going to be taken from federal government coffers, and it doesn't affect. And it's one of the things with African politicians. Exactly. It doesn't affect you directly as a person. The funds that they use to travel abroad for treatment, the per diem that they give to everybody in the entourage, it's all taxpayers' money. And so these things wouldn't necessarily make them sit up, because it's also never been enough. Listen, in a sane society, a disaster like this, your citizens were kidnapped for 3 to 6 months. A disaster like this is enough for any government to resign. But it's not in Nigeria. No,
we still have people in the den of kidnappers. Every day we're taking the Daily Trust. They're giving us the updates of how many days girls have been in the kidnappers' den. So I don't see that happening in Nigeria, at least not yet.
All right, one or two final stories here. Dibanj's arrest, move towards transparency in NPower. But I will also quickly mention something. Dibanj has been arrested and has made the news, but nobody in the whole NPower scheme has been mentioned or arrested. Dibanj wasn't scheming NPower or taking money from NPower by himself. He was working with collaborators, definitely, if found guilty, of these allegations. He was working with someone in the NPower scheme on the federal government's, agency.
Do you think that celebrities will speak about this as much?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. All right. Masop condemns planned IPOB sit-at-home order 28 years after federal government redeems housing pledge to Westerhoff, 28 years after. And also police inspector kills Dubai returnee in Lagos. These are the stories that we can share on Blueprint this morning.
All right, this morning on the Punch newspaper, still in Nigeria, at the top of the paper, you can see top left President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. He says, contesting presidency again will diminish me. You people should leave this man alone. Leave him alone, Nigerians. All right, NPower fraud. ICPC detains Dibanj. Lawyer cries foul on page 4. Buhari failed Leah Sharibu, says activist on page 3. I mean, this is linked to the conversation we just had about people who have been in captivity and saying that insane crimes.
It's enough.
I almost said insane crimes.
It's too much, even. It's when I say it's enough, there's in societies that have institutions and people in the society that understand that government is answerable to them and government is there to serve.
Government is answerable to
smaller things are enough to pull down the government. Not kidnapped, not citizens being kidnapped for months, and in Leah Sharibu's case, years.
I mean, look at South Africa. Even though, yes, now Cyril Ramaphosa is saying that he's willing to stay because he's getting the backing of his party, but they found money in his coffers. How many times do we find money here? They found money. There was a burglary that he didn't report. If you compare that in the grand scheme of things to the lives of people being kidnapped, people who have been killed, people who still have family members in captivity, which weighs more? Yet it was a huge stain and a huge threat to his position as a president. So yes, it just shows how much the office of the presidency does respect the office of the citizens. They say that the office of the citizen is the highest office of the land, but that looks like it's just in theory. Anyway, cash withdrawal limits. Senate grills CBN chiefs tomorrow. All right, we look forward to seeing what their explanations are. POS operators get waiver to pay processing fee. Central Bank deputy governors to face National Assembly panel. Senate debates policy next week. CBN says no going back on new cashless policy. Allays fears of rural dwellers, others. We talked about this yesterday and talked about how this will impact the rural dwellers and those who have been financially excluded. Not everybody has a bank account. There are people who have been financially excluded. So what happens to them? They will not live again because they want to operate cashless society. I mean, these are some of the arguments. EFCC auctions forfeited cars wants compliance with guidelines. You can see the photographs of the forfeited cars. Polls. INEC knocks Tinubu over comment on e-transmission on page 2. Police launch manhunt for woman who burnt parents. We took this story yesterday, and now we hope that she's been found and that the law takes its course. Final story this morning. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Gridlock worsens and road work suspension on page 4 and page 5. That's all I can take this morning on The Punch. Let's head out of Nigeria and head to South Africa. So West Africa to South Africa.
Let's go to the Sowetan this morning and see what we can find. It says here, very strict conditions for Walus. Chris Hani's assassin released under veil of secrecy into house arrest, restricting his movement and contact with certain unnamed people. That's on page 2. I see that the EFF also put out a statement 2 days ago. Also, pedestrian king, ex-ruler set to lose luxury cars. And that's on page 3. Palapala stash, small change, Hazim says as he declared cash at OR Tambo. That's on page 2. And also, Mohan Findi, when kids catch you in the act. Okay.
See, what?
Yeah. In the act of giving.
Yeah. So the question is, what then happens? How do you explain it to them?
I don't know. I have no idea. Hit for a 6. Traffic, of course, a picture on your screen. The traffic nightmare descended on Graveston Drive, which is a major road leading to Santon, Johannesburg, due to load shedding yesterday. These are the stories that we can find on the Sowetan this morning. You may want to read more on the Chris Hani assassin story right there on the Sowetan.
All right, and let's head over to Zimbabwe, still in southern Africa, seeing the front page of the Newsday in Zimbabwe. Delimitation report rattles ZANU-PF. That's the big story here. 2 shadowy ZANU-PF groups have trashed a Zimbabwe Electoral Commission preliminary delimitation report showing the ruling party losing some rural wards to urban constituencies that are widely believed to be opposition strongholds. Still on the front page, golden handshake for war vets. And at the top of the paper, CCC MPs defend $40,000 loans on page 2. Final story, gospel singer Lalazi heads to Nigeria. That's good news. Lalazi is coming to Nigeria, so look out for this gospel singer. That's all we can take this morning on the front page of the Newsday in Zimbabwe. We have more papers we'll be looking through when we get to the second half of the show, so you might or you should want to stick around for that. For now, we're going to break. Let's get to our top stories in a moment.